Hi guys, this is Hakim and welcome back to the second part of the video where we are building this pet adoption app using React Native. So in the previous part of the video, we built the drawer navigator and also we styled the navigator, and also we've added this animation to the drawer. So in this video, we are going to building this home screen and probably we are going to build this tail screen also. So if you not watched the first part, I'll highly recommend you to do that before you watch this part. And in order to watch the first part, I'll put in a link of it in the description down below. So that's what I do. Let's start coding the home screen. To start working on the home screen, I'm going to open the home screen component. Inside the home screen component, we have a save view component and we'll give it a style, a flex of 1 and a color of white. And also we added text with a text of home, which is showing up over here. So I'm going to get rid of this text component. And now we are going to start by adding a header to the home screen. So to do that, I'm going to add a view. So this view is going to be for the header. So add a view component. And for the view component, we are going to give it a style. So we are going to call this style header. So say style.header. So over here, we are going to add a style. So say header. And for the header style, we'll give it a padding of 20 pixels. Then we'll give it a flex direction of row. So say flex direction. We'll give it row. We give the justify content or space between and align items of center. Say align items, say center. So now we are going to start adding the item inside the header. So the item we are going to add is the icon. So this icon over here, and also add a text component for the profile name and an image component for this image over here. So to do that, inside the header, we'll add an icon. So over here, we'll add an icon component. So import the icon. And let's make sure we import the icon correctly. And the icon we need is the sort variant icon. So say name, then we'll say sort dash variant. So over here we have the icon. Now we are going to give it a size. We give 28 pixels. And for the icon, once a user click on it, it should open the drawer. So to do that, we are going to add on press over here. So say on press, and for the on press, we'll bring in the navigation props. Then we'll call the method toggle drawer. So say toggle drawer. So right now, we should be able to toggle the drawer. So actually, we are having an error. So I think we are not bringing in this navigation props properly. So let's open the drawer navigator. And over here, we shouldn't have the structure, the props. So let's just pass in the props as a parameter instead of destructuring it. And let's also make changes for the other screens. So over here, I'll get rid of these curly braces. And now if you click on this icon, it should open the drawer. So that's all for the icon. The next step, we are going to add this profile name. So to do that, we are going to add a text component over here. And we are going to add a profile name. Then also we are going to style the text component. So for the text component, we are going to give it a style. We'll give the color of primary. So say color, or say colors dot primary. Then we'll give it a font weight of bold and a font size of 16 pixels. So say font weight, we'll give it bold. Then we'll give it a font size of 16 pixels. And that's all for the text component. So right now we're going to add the profile image. And to do that, we'll add an image component. And we're going to give it a source. And we're going to get the image from the asset folder. Then we'll get the image, which is person.jpg. Hit save. So right now we have the image. So now we're going to style the image. So for this style, we'll give it a height of 30 pixels. We'll give it a width of 30 pixels also. Then we'll give the border radius of 15 pixels. So border radius. Hit save. So right now we have the image. So the next step, we're going to add this search input. But before we do that, we are going to add this section over here. So as you can see, we have a separate section that holds the inputs category and the cards. So to do that, before the section, we are going to add a scroll view. So we want to be able to scroll if the elements overflows. So bring in the scroll view. And for the scroll view, we are going to get rid of the scroll indicator. So get rid of the vertical scroll indicator. Then inside the scroll view, we are going to add a view. So this view is going to be the section. Then for the view, we are going to give it a style of main container. I'll say style dot main container. So I'm going to get the style. I'm going to start styling it. For the main container style, we are going to give it a mini height of the screen height. So say mini height, then give it the screen height. So this is the height we defined over here. Then we are going to give it a background color of light. So say background color, I'll say colors.light. So right now we have the container over here. The next step, we are going to give it a margin top of 20 pixels. Then we give it a border radius. So we want the curve shape at the left and the right. So to do that, we'll say border top left radius. We'll give 40 pixels. Then also we'll add the right radius. So I'm going to duplicate this. I'll change this to right. So right now we have the curve shape at the right and the left. Now we are going to add some padding to it. So give it a padding horizontal of 20 pixels and a padding vertical of 40 pixels. And that's all for the main container. So the next step, we're going to add this search input. And to do that, inside the main container, we are going to add a view, and we are going to give it a style of search input container. Say style dot search input container. So I'll get the style. And for the search input container style, we'll give it a height of 50 pixels. Then I'll give it a background color of white. So say colors.white. And also we are going to give the border radius of 7 pixels, a padding horizontal of 20 pixels. Then we are going to give it a flex direction of row. So flex direction, we'll give it row. Align items of center and a justify content or space between. So say align items, center, justify content, space between. Hit save, and that's all for the search input container. So now we have the search input. So the next step, we are going to start adding the element inside the search input. That is the search icon, the text input, and also this sort icon over here. So inside the search input container, we are going to bring in the icon. So say icon, and for the icon, we are going to give it a name of magnify for the search icon. And also we give it a size of 24 pixels and a color of gray. So say size, give 24, then we'll give it a color of gray. Hit save. So now we have the search icon. So the next step, we're going to add the text input. So say text input. And for the text input, we are going to give it a placeholder of search pet to adopt. Then we'll give it a style. We'll give it a flex of 1. Hit save. And also we are going to give it a placeholder text color of gray. So say placeholder text color. I'll say colors dot gray. Hit save. And I think that's all for this text input. So now we are going to add this sort icon. And to do that, below the text input, we'll add an icon. For the icon component, we'll give it a name of sort ascending. So say sort dash ascending. And we are going to give it a size of 24 pixels. So say size, give 24, and also a color of gray. So that'll be all for the search input. So the next step, we are going to add these pet categories over here. And to do that, we are going to bring in the pet categories. So this is just an array with the several objects. So each object has the name of the pet and also the icon of the pet. So I already created the array. I'm just going to copy this array. Then I'm going to paste it over here. So I'm going to make use of this array. Then we are going to map through the array. And we are going to create this category of the array. So to do that, below the search input, we are going to add a view. So this view is going to hold the categories. So let's give it a style. And for the style, we give it a flex direction of row. We give it a justify content or space between. And a margin top of 20 pixels. Margin top give 20 pixels. So now we are going to start adding the category button itself, and to do that we are going to map through the pet category list. So over here we'll add a curly braces and we'll say pet categories dot map. Then we are going to add a function, and over here we are going to return a view. So this view is going to hold the category button and also the category name. Then right here we are going to bring in the item, and also we'll bring in the index. So for this view we are going to give it a key, so we'll get rid of the key warning issue, and for the key we are going to add a string of pet, then we'll concatenate it with the index, and that's all for the key. So right now I'm going to add this category button over here, and to do that we are going to add a touchable opacity component, because we want to be able to click the category, which is going to allow us to select the category. Over here we'll bring in the touchable opacity component, and for the component I want to give it a style. So I'm going to pass in an array because we're going to add multiple style. Then I'll give it a style of category btn. So now I'm going to get the style and I'm going to style it. And for the style, we are going to give it a height of 50 pixels. Then I'll give it a width of 50 pixels also. We give it align items of center and a justified content of center. Then we give it a border radius of 10 pixels. So say border radius, then give it 10 pixels. Then for now, I'm going to give it a background color of primary. So say colors dot primary. Hit save. So right now we have the category button. Now we are going to add the icons inside the category button. And to do that, inside the touchable opacity component, we'll bring in the icon component. Then for the name, we get the name from the item object. So say item dot icon, and also we give it a size of 30 pixels. So say size and give it 30 pixels. Hit save. So right now we have the icon. So for now I'm just going to give it a color of white. Then later we are going to add the functionality to select a particular category. So if the category is selected, it's going to have a color of primary, and also the icon is going to have a white color. While if it's not selected, it's going to have a background color of white, and the icon is going to have a primary color. So right here I'll just pass in a color of white to it. So say color, I'll say colors dot white. Then now we're going to add the category name itself. So to do that, below the touchable opacity component, we'll add a text component, and we are going to bring in the name. So to pass in the name, we'll say item dot name. Hit save. So right now we have the name. The next step, I want to style the text component itself. So give it a style. I'll give it a style of category btn name. And for the category btn name, I'm going to give it a color of dark. So say colors dot dark. Then I'll give it a font size of 10 pixels, a margin top of 5 pixels, then a font weight of bold. So say font weight, we'll give it bold. And that's all for the category name. So right now we are going to center the text over here. And to do that, over here, this view that is holding the button and the name, we are going to give it a style. Then we'll give it align items of center. So this is going to center the text. And right now we have the text centered. So the next step, we're going to add the selected category functionality. So once the user click on a particular category, it's going to change the background to a primary color and also change the icon color to white. So to do that, we're going to create a state. So this state is going to be used to keep track of the selected category index. So we're going to make use of this index to change the colors of the category. So right here we'll say const, I'll call it selected category index, and also passing the function to set it. Then by default, we're going to give it an index of 0. So over here, we are going to check if the category is selected. We are going to change the background color to primary and the icon to white. Else, we are going to change the background color to white and the icon to primary. So to do that, we are going to make use of this index. So if this index is equals to this selected category index, that means the category is selected. So right here we are going to add an object, then we'll pass in the background color props, and for the background color we are going to check if it's selected. So say if selected category index is equals to the current index, that means this category is selected. So we are going to apply the primary color, else we apply the white color. So say colors.white. So now we have the white color for the rest of the categories. That is because they are not selected, because we give it an index of 0 by default, which is selecting the first category. So also we are going to add this condition to the icon color. So over here we are going to check, say selected category index is equals to the current index. If that is the case, we are going to give it a white color, else we are going to give it a primary color. So say colors.primary. Hit save. So right now we have the selected category icon with a white color and the non-selected category icon with a primary color. So now I want to select the category once the user click on the button, and to do that we are going to add the unpressed props, and while the user click on the button we are going to set the selected category index to this index, which is going to select the category. So over here we'll say set selected category index, and I'll pass in the current index. Hit save. So right now if I click on dog, it's going to select the category, and if I click on birds, it's going to select this category. So I think that'll be all for the category list. Right now I'm going to start adding the card to the page, and to do that, over here below the category list we are going to add the flat list component to list the card. But before we do that, we'll add a view component. We are going to give the view component a style, and we are going to give it a margin top of 20 pixels. So inside this view component we are going to add a flat list component. So this is going to list the cards, and let's make sure we import the flat list component. And for the flat list component we are going to pass in some props. So say show vertical scroll indicator, we'll set it to false. So we want to get rid of the scroll indicator, and also we are going to pass in the data. So say data, and we are going to pass in the pet data. That is the list of pets over here. But don't want to just pass in the data. So as you can see, this list of pets has several objects for each pet. So the first object has the pet of cat, so it contains just pet of cat, and the second object has pets of dogs, the third has pets, while the last has bunnies. We want to be able to filter out the pets depending on the category the user has selected, and to do that we are going to create a method called filter pets. So this method is going to take this list of pets and it's going to check for the category selected, and it's going to return the filter pets for us. So over here I'm going to create a function called filter pet. So say filter pet, and this function is going to take the index we want to filter out. Then over here we are going to create a state. So this state is going to hold the filtered pet, that is the pet we've already filtered. So say const filtered pets, say set filtered pets, which is going to be react.use state, and by default we want it to be an empty array. So I'm going to get this state over here, and for the flat list, for the data we are going to pass in the state. So by default we are going to have an empty array. So right now we're going to work on the functionality to filter the pet. So to filter the pet, we are going to create a variable called current pet, that is the filtered pet. So say const current pet, it's going to be pets, that is this list of pets over here inside the pets.js. Then we'll call the filter method, and for the filter method we want to return the pet that has this index passed in. So to do that we'll bring in a function which is going to take in the item. We'll say item, and over here we'll say item, and let's make sure the pet is available, that is this pet props over here. So while we loop through this list of pets, each pet is going to have an object, then inside the object it's going to have type of pet, e.g. cat, and it's going to have the pets. That is the list of the pets. So I'm making it of the optional chaining, and if it's available, we want to transform it to uppercase. So we are taking the pet's name. So for example, the pet's name might be cat, and we are transforming it to uppercase because we want it to match these categories over here. So making use of this category to check for the selected pet. Then over here we'll say if it goes to pet category, then we'll pass in the index, then we'll say dot name. So I'm trying to filter out the pet that the pet name is close to the selected category pet name. And also we are going to get just the first item from the array because by default the filter is going to return an array. Then over here we are going to set filter pet, then we are going to set it to the current pet. So right now, if we call this function, it's going to filter out the pet and it's going to set the filtered pet to this state over here. Now, anytime we open the app, we want to make sure that we have a pet inside this state. So to do that, we are going to make use of the use effect. So react.use effect. Then we are going to call this filter pet function, and we are going to pass in an index of 0. So we want to filter out the first category anytime we open the app. And for the dependencies, we're just going to pass in an empty array. So we want this to run the function just once. And over here, to show that it has filtered the pet, we are going to console log the current pet. So say console.log current pet. So as you can see, we have the first pet, which is cat, and we only want the pets, we don't need the name. So to do that, over here we are going to say dot pets. So now it's going to return just the list of the pets, that is the list of cats. So right now, as you can see, it has returned just the list of cats. So now we have the filter pet passed to the flat list. Right now we are going to add the cat for the flat list, and to do that we are going to pass in the render item props, and it's going to take in a card component which we are going to create right now. So say card, and for the card it's going to take in a pet which is going to be the item. So bring in the item, so say pet, and pass in the item. Then also we are going to pass in navigation. So I want to be able to make use of navigation. Since we are going to create this card component outside the home screen component, so we need the navigation. That's why we are passing it to the component. Over here we're passing the navigation, and right now I'm going to create the card. So for the card outside the home screen component, we are going to create the component. We'll call it card, and it's going to take in a props of pet and also the navigation. So over here we are going to return a touchable opacity component. So say return the touchable opacity component. So for the touchable opacity component, we are going to reduce the opacity. So say active opacity, then we'll give 0.8. Then inside the component we are going to add a view component, then we'll give it a style of card container. So say style, I'll say card container. So I'll get the style, then we'll style it. So for the card container style, we are going to give it a flex direction of row, align items of center, then we'll give it a margin bottom of 20 pixels. Margin bottom, give 20 pixels. And that's all for the card container style. So right now I'm going to start adding the rest item inside the card. So the first element we are going to add is this image, and to add the image we are going to create a view. So this view is going to serve as the background for this image. Then inside the view we are going to add this image. So over here inside the card component we'll add a view, and for this view we are going to give it a style of card image container. For the card image container style, we are going to give it a height of 150 pixels. So say height 150. Then we'll give it a width of 140 pixels. And also we are going to give it a background color. So say colors dot background. Then we'll give it a border radius of 20 pixels. So border radius, then give 20 pixels. Hit save. So right now we have the image container. Now we are going to start adding the image itself. For the image, inside the image container, we are going to add an image component, and we are going to give it the source. So say source, and we'll say pet.image. So now we have the pet image. Now we are going to style the image component. So So for the component, we give it a width of 100%. We give the height of 100% also. Then we give it a resize mode of contain. There's a resize mode. Give it contain. And that's all for the image. So right now I'm going to start adding the details of the pet. So to do that, below the image container view, we are going to add a view. So right here we'll add a view. Then we are going to give it a style of card details container. And for the card details container style, we give it a height of 120 pixels. We give it a background color of white. So say background color, say colors.white. Then we give it a flex of 1. And also we are going to give it a border radius. So we want a curve shape over here. So give it a border top right radius of 10 pixels. Say border top right radius 10. I'm going to duplicate this, then we'll change this to bottom. Then over here we'll give it a padding of 20 pixels and a justify content of center. It's a justify content with center. Hit save. So that's all for the card details container style. So right now I'm going to start adding the details itself. And for the details, we are going to add the pet name and the gender icon. So over here we are going to add a view. So this view is going to hold the name and the gender icon. So add a view, and for this view we are going to give it a style. Say style. Then we'll give it a flex direction of row and a justify content or space between. So justify content space between. Then inside the view we are going to add the pet name. To add the pet name, we'll bring in the text component, then we'll bring in the name. So say pet dot name. So now we have the name. Then right now we're going to add some style to the name. So say style. We'll give the font weight of bold. Then we'll give it a color of dark and a font size of 20 pixels. We'll say color, and say color dot dark. Then font size of 20 pixels. And that's all for the pet name. So right now I'm going to add the gender icon. So bring in the icon component and we give it the name of gender male. So say gender dash male. Then we are going to give it a size of 22 pixels. And also we give it a color of gray. So say color, say colors dot gray. So that's all for the name and the icon. So this is centered right now. That's because we've not added any other element. So once we add the remaining element, it's going to be pushed up. So now we're going to add the pet type. And to do that, below this view that is holding the pet name and the gender icon, we'll add a text component and we are going to bring in the pet type. So say pet, I'll say dot type. Then also we are going to style it. So give it a style. We'll give the font size of 12 pixels. Then a margin top of 5 pixels. And also a color of dark. So say color, I'll say colors dot dark. Hit save. So now we have the pet type. So next step, we're going to add the age. I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to change this to age. Then we are going to change the font size also. Then we'll change this to gray. Now we're going to add the icon and also the distance. So to do that, below the text component, we'll add a view. So this view is going to hold both the icon and the distance. So over here, we are going to style the view. We'll give the style. We'll give the margin top of 5 pixels. Then we'll give it a flex direction of row. And over here, we're going to add an icon for the distance. So I'm going to get this icon. I'll paste it right here. Then we'll change the name. It's a map dash marker. And also we are going to change the size to 18. Then we are going to change the color to primary. Hit save. So now we have the distance icon. Now we are going to add the distance itself. So I'm going to get this text component, then I'm going to get the distance text. So we'll change this, then I'll give it a font size of 12 and also a color of gray. Then I'll give the margin left of 5 pixels. So say margin left 5 pixels. Hit save. So that's all for the card details container. So the next step, once the user click on the card, it should navigate the user to the details screen. So to do that, inside the touchable opacity component, we'll add the unpress and props. And for the unpress props, we are going to make use of the navigation we passed as props earlier. That is this navigation over here. I want to navigate to the details screen. So the details screen over here, I'm going to get the name of the details screen. And while navigating, we are going to pass in the pet object. So we are going to get this pet object from the details screen, which we are going to use to display the details of the pet in this screen. So I'll hit save, and now if we click on this card, it should be able to take us to the details screen. And right now we're at the details screen. So I think that'll be all for this part of the video. So in the next part, we're going to work on this details screen. So if you find the video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, and also if you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe, turn on post notifications so that I get notified the next time I upload a new video, and I'll see you in the next part of the video.